Here it comes.
Today, we're going to be talking about suit preference signals. This signal is one that is often very confusing when you first start learning about signals, simply because people tend to freeze up and look at their partner's card that they play when they lead to the first trick and say, oh, what does that mean? What does that mean? Does that mean my partner wants me to switch to something? So we're going to talk about when suit preference signals are the order of the day and how we can determine when they are and when they aren't. So, all right. As you all remember, there are three types of defensive signals that are the most common ones. Now, there are others. So there are trump suit preference and Smith echoes and all kinds of signals, that Foster echoes that people use to convey information to their partners. But these are the most common ones, and they're definitely the ones that you should start with rather than some of the more esoteric ones. The first one, and the one that you should begin learning about the very first thing, is the attitude signal. Attitude signal, especially when your partner's on opening lead and he leads a high card. When he leads a high card, say he leads the ace, promising the king, and you have only small cards in your hand, then you know that if partner continues that suit, he's not doing anything but setting up the queen for the declarer. This assumes, of course, that the queen is not on the dummy. Partner will see that, right away if it is, but when it's not, then when you hold only small cards, 3 of them, for instance, and it's a suit contract, then you should play a low card saying, partner, I don't have a touching honor. When your partner leads a high card against no trump or a suit contract, the only time you encourage is when you have a touching honor. This is particularly important when partner leads the king, promising the queen, and if it's no trump, it will be either the jack or the 10 with it. It's really important to try to help your partner know not to continue the suit when declarer holds the ace jack. If you lead the king, and most declarers will hold up if they hold the ace jack in their hands, hoping that you'll put the queen on the table, they'll capture that queen with their aces, and now their jack is a trick. In other words, he gets 2 tricks when he really only is entitled to 1. That's known as the Bath coup, and that's why it's so important for the partner of the opening leader to discourage when he doesn't have a touching honor. That's the only time when partner leads a high card that you would encourage, is if you have a touching honor. If your partner leads the ace, promising the king, and then at no trump, either the queen or the jack, if you have the touching honor, then you would encourage him by playing a high card. If you do not, you discourage, warning him off. Now, partner may have ace, king, queen, jack, and if he does that, he's going to override your signal to him. I mean, signals are just suggestions, or they're conveying information. They're not a demand for your partner to do anything in particular. You're just conveying information. The next signal that people usually learn is the count signal, and this is typically used when the declarer is leading. In general, you give attitude to your partner when your partner is on lead. That assumes that he didn't lead low, and you have to play as high as possible as third hand to try to take the trick. What we're talking about here is when partner leads a high card, you give him the attitude signal. On the other hand, when declarer is leading, either from the dummy or from his own hand, players usually like to give count signals. It's not necessary on every trick by any means, but it can be important when there's a long suit on the dummy, and let's say there's 6 or 7 cards in a suit on the dummy, and your partner holds the ace. Particularly when there are no outside entries to the dummy, it is important for your partner to hold up the ace until declarer is exhausted of cards in that suit. So that's the kind of situation where partners will give a count signal so that the person holding the ace, or in some cases the king, knows how long to hold up if he can. He may not have enough cards, but this is typical instance when you would use a count signal. The third one is the suit preference. It's the one that often gets relegated to the bottom of the heap simply because its use doesn't come up all that frequently, but boy, when it does, it conveys some of the most important information that you can give. So there are 4 times when players can use a suit preference signal. The partner of the opening leader can tell the opening leader whether that he likes that opening lead. Do I have a touching honor? If you've led an honor and I'm not going to be playing high to try to take the trick, then I let you know whether I have a touching honor. For instance, if partner leads the king, promising the queen, and you have the ace or the jack, then by all means, encourage. Now, the reason you would use a suit preference signal occurs when partner puts a high card on the table and there's a singleton in the dummy. Well, at that point, it doesn't matter what your attitude is. Because if you're playing a contract, a suit contract, I should say, then it doesn't matter what the attitude or the count is, either one. The information that the partner of the opening leader wants to convey is, partner, I want you to lead this suit. So by the size of the card in the suit that was led, he can let his partner know which of the side suits he would like for him to lead. Now, I can use a suit preference signal on my opening lead. For instance, bottom of something, top of nothing types of leads might be considered a type of suit preference signal. Now, when declarer is playing his trump suit, there are, as I said earlier, there's trump suit preference that you can show, or if you have to discard, you can use whatever system you and your partner have chosen to convey which of the side suits you like or don't like. And then when you're leading on defense in the middle of the hand, as I said earlier, let's look at some examples here. Okay, now, sometimes players look at partner's card and say, oh, that's suit preference, when partner was really saying, I like the suit or I don't. In other words, he's giving you attitude. The issue is that either one of these situations could apply. So by general agreement, and you and your partner don't have to have this agreement if you don't want to, but in general, the signal that takes priority is attitude regarding the opening lead. You either want your partner to continue or not. There are many people, though, who rely heavily on count, and they use only count signals. There's nothing wrong with that if that's the way you want to play. Now, when you've raised your partner's suit, with or without the queen, and partner has led the ace from ace-king, you encourage that suit when a shift to a side suit would not be helpful. In other words, it will finesse a queen that's in your hand. Something like that. Sometimes it's more important to let declarer have a trick to which he is entitled, rather than having partner inadvertently finesse one of your honors. After all, if the declarer has a choice, he may guess wrong and take the finesse the other way. The partner of the opening leader should discourage the continuation of the suit if a shift to a side suit is urgent. In other words, I need you to shift immediately. I have a singleton over here and I'd like to get a ruff. And you also want to discourage the continuation of the suit if it is apparent that continuing it is absolutely fruitless. Maybe you have bid and raised a suit and the dummy comes down with king, queen, 10 in that suit because your partner optimistically led an ace, and lo and behold, he has set up the king and queen on the dummy because he assumed because you supported that you had a high honor. Now, the important thing to remember here is that a discouraging signal does not indicate suit preference. It merely discourages. It says, I would like you to shift to another suit. You have to remember the bidding, look at the dummy, try to figure out about how many points your partner has and all to figure out what it might be that partner would like led. But the discouraging signal is just that. It discourages. It says continue at your own risk. Now, obviously, if you have ace, king, queen in the suit, by all means, it's not an edict. You're not a robot. You don't have to do what your partner says automatically, but he's conveying information to you. If the information is not important, then you're free to disregard it. Because after all, partner doesn't know you have ace, king, queen in your hand, that kind of thing. So, as I said earlier, the opening leader should interpret his partner's card as suit preference when there is a singleton in the dummy. In other words, the partner of the opening leader has to be paying attention to see that singleton in the dummy and give his partner an indication which suit he prefers. If you play standard carding, then the play of an unnecessarily high card would indicate that you would like a shift to the higher ranking outside suit. The play of the lowest card you have in your hand would indicate that you would like a shift to the lower ranking of the outside suits. Now, the reason for that is because, remember, we've talked about ruffing in the short trump hand as opposed to ruffing in the long trump hand. Ruffing in the short trump hand is a way the declarer can add to his trick total, whereas ruffing in the long trump hand does not add to the trick total. So it's seldom profitable to allow declarer to ruff with small trumps on the dummy. So that's the reason that the card that's played when partner is winning the trick. Say he puts the ace down, or if you lead king from ace king, if he leads the king, then your card is suit preference. Playing standard carding, playing a high card in the suit says, please shift to the higher ranking of the side suits. A low card says, please shift to the lower ranking of the side suits. Now, does that mean that you're always going to have the right card that you need? Of course not. I mean, remember, there are no guarantees in this game. I don't care what system you use. Odd, even, upside down, Laventhal for discards. You're not always going to have the right card. You're just not. That's the way life is. I wish I could promise you that you always will, but the fact is that you won't. So let's take a look at this next one here. South opens a club here, and you're sitting in the west hand. You very properly use a weak jump over call, 2 spades. North doubles. Notice he has an opening hand with shortness in spades, but he only has 4 hearts. He does not raise clubs. He's looking for that 4-4 heart fit. East says, I like those spades. I'm going to bid 4 spades. I'm going to fix your wagon. And South says, no, you don't. No, you don't. I'm bidding 5 hearts. Well, right away, we know that East-West probably have 10 spades between them, because if I'm sitting east and my partner overcalls with a weak 2 spades, if I have 4 of those spades in my hand, I don't care what my point count is. I'm bidding 4 spades. It's a law of total tricks bid, which applies in a competitive auction. So East-West most likely will have 10 spades between them. That means that somebody is really short. Assuming this is the dummy here, since partner bid 5 hearts, it's highly likely that North has 2 spades and South has 1, and that's it. Now, West leads, obviously, the ace of spades. I think everybody here would choose that card. You've got to get the spade tricks that you can get while you can get them. East follows with the 2. Declarer played the 6. What should West be thinking about here? What should West be thinking about? He's virtually certain that he knows the layout of the spade suit. Is he going to get another spade trick? I certainly wouldn't count on it, because your partner raised to 4 spades opposite your weak bid. And if he had a good hand, he might not necessarily jump to 4 spades. South bid on to 5 hearts. He won't do that. He won't go to the 5 level if he has any kind of length in the spade suit. So if I'm sitting here in the West chair, I'm thinking, okay, I know what the situation is. I have 6 of these spades. My partner has 4. There are 2 on the dummy, and that 6 is a singleton spade in the South hand. My partner played the 2. I think he's telling me he wants me to lead a club. Does everybody see that? East knows what the situation is just as well as West does. He knows his partner has 6 spades, and he's telling him, don't lead another spade. I want you to lead a club. That doesn't look right, does it? After all, the ace is in the dummy. Well, maybe he has the king. I mean, who knows? What do you think? Should we lead that 6 of clubs? Do we think so? Anybody have a better idea? I could switch off to a passive lead and lead a trump, right? Lead a small heart.
If your partner has said to lead a club, it would be beneficial to get the ace out of the way.
Sure it would. I mean, he's got a reason for wanting me to lead clubs instead of diamonds. If he wanted me to lead a diamond, he'd have played a high spade on the ace.
He could be voiding clubs.
He very well could be. You can see 7 of them. South opened a club. That doesn't necessarily mean that he has 6 of them, but he could, couldn't he? Anyway, this comes under the heading of trust your partner. Trust your partner. You won't always be able to figure this stuff out, but your partner knows what the layout of the spade suit is, and he's told you what to do. So take a deep breath and put a club on the table. He could very well be void. Very well. So,
Susan?
Yes.
On the bidding, you said that the partner went to 4 spades, but he doesn't know that his partner's got 6.
Sure he does. Sure he does. That's a weak jump over call.
Oh, it's a weak jump over.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
1 club.
Sorry.
2. That's okay. So one of the problems with defensive signals is that you can only send 1 signal at a time, usually. Often we like to convey more than 1 thing at a time. So here the question is, should West interpret East's card as attitude, count, or suit preference? Well, since we can count the spades, attitude doesn't apply. Count signals don't apply because I know what the layout of the suit is. My partner made a law of total tricks bid. Is it possible that one side can make 4 spades and the other one can make 5 hearts? Sure it is. But that 4 spade bid is likely going to be made on shape rather than high card strength. West might think that East is trying to convey the message that he doesn't hold the queen. Well, the problem is the queen's not on the dummy and Declarer didn't drop it, so I don't think that's it. Do you? I don't think that he's trying to tell me that he doesn't hold the queen. I can see 8 spades between my hand and the dummy, and my partner raised to 4. I don't think the location of the queen is important here. Or maybe he's trying to tell partner that he has 3 cards in the suit. I don't think that's the case either, because he would raise to 3 spades, not 4, if he had only 3 cards. That's the way the law of total tricks works. But he bid 4, and he bid 4 immediately. So, thinking about the bidding, when it's obvious that the continuation of a suit is absolutely unproductive and doesn't get you a thing, but your high card ruffed, then your partner's card should be suit preference. All right. West needs to remember from the bidding that East would never jump to game without 4 cards in that spade suit. This is because he and partner have agreed that the law of total tricks applies in competitive auctions. So you bid to the number of tricks that equals the combined number of trumps in your hand. So East should be conveying the fact that he has 4 spades. He clearly cannot have a strong hand from the bidding because North and South were willing to go to the 5 level. You can see the dummy. There are 3 aces in the dummy. Partner cannot have a strong hand because 3 aces in the dummy opposite an opening hand by South. I mean, there's just no way East has a good hand. So all he did, remember, is extend the preempt. West preempted with a weak jump overcall, and East extended the preempt. If you interpret that 2 of spades as a suit preference signal, then you need to lead a club. Remember, when you're giving suit preference signals, the trump suit does not apply. It does not apply. So here's the complete hand. And look, sure enough, partner has a very weak hand, but he's void in clubs. The second trick is the absolute key to defeating the contract. If West doesn't shift to a club immediately, South roughs the spade continuation, or will win a diamond lead, obviously, draw trumps and claim. West never gets the lead again. Never. So if he's going to give his partner a club ruff, he has to do it at trick 2, period. They'll get the ace of spades, the club ruff, and the king of trumps for a 1-trick set. Here, the law of total tricks guides East-West to the right contract. The spade game is absolutely unbeatable. Look at this. 2 diamonds and a heart are all that is lost. All that's lost. So even though North and South go down 1 and 5 hearts, it's a good sacrifice because the spade game is cold. Simply based on shape. That's all. Now, here's an example that is instructive because it shows you how to use the suit preference signal when you're following suit, just like East did on the previous hand. You and partner bid and raised hearts, but the opponents end up getting a contract in 4 spades. Here's the auction. 1 heart by West, North passes, East bids 2 hearts, South bids 2 spades. West says, don't think so. And he bids 3 hearts. North bids 4 spades. I'm not opposed to that. I mean, look at this. Your partner overcalled 2 spades. He's got to have 5. Absolutely has 5, may have 6. But you have 5. Here's another example of bidding to the combined number of trumps between the 2 of you. Even though North has 11 points, some people would overcall 1 spade with that. Here, North did not. He wants his overcalls to be better suits than that. So partner leads the ace of hearts. Well, You don't have the queen. You don't have a touching honor. This is another example here of playing a discouraging card when you don't have a touching honor. Partner knows you have 3 of them, so this is not a count signal. It's an attitude signal. You don't have the queen. You don't even have the jack. You want to discourage partner from setting up the queen for declarer. It's obvious that declarer has the queen. However, partner continues with the king. Are you going to play the 5 or the 8? This is a very esoteric signal.
8.
Yes, you're going to play the 8. Somebody studied the lesson a little bit. Good for you. Why in the world would East play the 8 here? Well, look at the diamond holding in the dummy and look what East holds. He's in effect saying, no, partner, I'm not playing up the line here, although it looks like it. I want you to lead a diamond. I've got the diamond suit sewn up here for us. They're in 4 spades. By the time you take the ace and king of hearts, if I can get 2 diamond tricks, we're going to set this contract. This is a very subtle signal, but it is a way you can use a suit preference signal. You have to be paying attention to catch this, don't you? If I'm West and I'm looking at the dummy, I'm thinking, well, my partner might have a diamond honor, or, I mean, he could have the ace sitting over the queen in the club suit here. You have to be paying attention to partner's card. He's played an unnecessarily high card when he followed suit with the 8. That should scream, please switch to a diamond. I've already told you I don't have the queen over here. And besides, there are only 2 cards in the dummy. We don't really want to let either the declarer get a discard or get a ruff in the dummy's hand. But notice, if your partner switches to a diamond rather than a club, you can take 2 diamond tricks. It doesn't make any difference which card declarer calls for here. You're going to take the first one and then lead your second honor. You get 2 hearts and 2 diamonds for down 1. Even though South has to have a good hand, and the North hand has 10 high card points in it with a heart doubleton. That's a good limit raise in spades. And he has 5 trumps. He has 5 trumps. So you can end up setting this contract, even though it doesn't look very promising, as long as you know how to use suit preference signals.
Susan,
so, yes.
Questions from Sherry and Gail.
All right, go right ahead. Sherry, your name was said first, so you get to go first.
Okay, so after leading the ace of hearts and being discouraged, then he or she led the king of hearts. One of my partners, once I discourage, will not lead the king. They usually just change suits. So do you have an opinion on, go ahead and lead the king if there's only 2 in the dummy, or?
Well, I would strongly consider it. And then I would look for a suit preference signal on my partner's next card. He's given me attitude. That's the first priority. Attitude is the first priority in signaling when your partner is on opening lead. You've conveyed your attitude. You've said, don't have a touching honor, but partner persisted anyway. He wants to make sure that that other little heart in the dummy doesn't go away and he loses his heart trick. This is why suit preference signals can be so helpful. And it's a question of how you and your partner have agreed to play. And the other thing is, looking at a doubleton in the dummy, I might be strongly encouraged to want to take my king before it goes away. I don't know what my partner has in the outside suits, but he has something because he raised my heart bid.
So would it say that there are 3 hearts in the dummy? Would it be worth leading the king just to get suit preference signal from your partner?
Okay, look at the situation with the West hand here. He has 6 hearts. He knows that East has 3. How
see.
many does
Oh,
declarer have? It doesn't matter whether his partner has the queen. He's going to drop the cards that declarer has to stop and count first off. And that will give him the answer. He doesn't need to try to get his partner on lead to push a heart through, because he knows partner has 3 of them. And whether his partner has the queen or not is beside the point here. It makes no difference. So he will go ahead and take the king, knowing that the queen is going to drop. Then he needs to pay attention. He's not going to lead a king or lead from that king of clubs. Seeing the queen on the board, if I got a lead like that, I'd be sorely tempted to go up with the queen, and then all of a sudden declare has no club losers. So I am not switching to a club. I know that the spades are 5-5 between north and south. So that means my partner has 2 of them, unless south happens to have 6. My partner may only have 1. So if West is thinking clearly, he'll put the 9 of diamonds on the table, saying, I don't need this back, and force the declarer to take a guess. And in this case, it's a heads I win and tails you lose situation. Doesn't make any difference which one he calls for. His goose is cooked. Does that make sense, Sherry?
that was very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, Gail, your turn.
Yeah, I just have to think through it, but how would you show a suit preference if they were playing in minor and you wanted to show the spades or hearts?
Well, then you play a high card in the suit that partner led, an unnecessarily high card. For instance, here, see on the second lead of hearts, partner plays the 8. Attitude and count don't matter here. Your partner has said that. And when East sees the queen drop, well, then now he knows that his partner started with 6 hearts. That's part of the reason he was willing to bid to the 3 level, was he knew that he and partner had 9 hearts between them. So he's willing to bid to the 3 level. And when he sees the 8 hit the table the next time, he says, oh, kind of looks like to me that my partner would like a diamond lead. I didn't want to lead a club anyway. So in an ideal world, West would select a diamond. But if you give your partner an opportunity to make a mistake, he will. I mean, that's just the long and the short of it. I don't care how good your partner is. The more information you can give him, the better off you're going to be. And suit preference signals, or any kind of defensive signal, is a really good way to give your partner information. Does that make sense, Gail?
Yeah, makes total sense. Thank you.
Yeah, but you have to practice it. You have to talk to your partner. And when you start paying really close attention to stuff like this, sometimes other things tend to drop off a little bit. But if you work on something like this until it becomes automatic, you'll be amazed at how much your results will improve, because you'll be better defenders. And remember, defense is at least half of the game. If you can be a good defender, you're going to come out all right most of the time. Now, here's an example of a very unfortunate opening lead. I've seen this happen 1,000 times. West bids a heart, North doubles. East raises to 2 hearts, and South says, I got a mess of spades over here, partner. You have indicated that you probably have 4 of them, so let's play a game in spades. So West, despite having been told many times by bridge teachers everywhere that leading an unsupported ace generally just sets up tricks for the opposition, does exactly that. Look at what comes down in the North hand. What in the world did North double on? He's got 3 cards in hearts. This is weird. If I saw that, I'd be thinking, why did he double for takeout? Maybe it wasn't a takeout double. I don't know. Now, East had his raise, didn't he? This is a very unfortunate opening lead. I'm not going to lead the heart suit if I have a suit like this. My partner did not promise me anything but 3 cards and 6 points. That's all he's promised me. If you assume that he has the king, well, you know what they say about that word assume. And this particular layout really drives that home. So obviously you don't want your partner to continue a heart, so tell him what to lead. This is a classic example of when continuing the suit is totally pointless. If you don't get your tricks in a hurry here, any losers that Sal has are going to go away on those 3 high hearts, right? Partner made a boo-boo. So if you want a diamond shift, play the 9. If you want a club shift, play the 3. And if you don't have a clue, play that middling card. That middle card says, I don't know, partner, look at your hand and lead what you think is best. If you don't have any clear preference. Obviously, you have a minimum responding hand because you raised 2 hearts. And your hearts are not anything to write home about. But remember this, next time you're tempted to lead the ace from this kind of a suit. Sometimes it works, more often it does not. Suit preference signals are sometimes used when you're leading a suit even. The most common situation occurs when you're leading a card and you're giving your partner a ruff. In this deal, East-West are defending 2 spades by South, and partner leads the heart 10. East opened a heart, South bid a spade, West passed, and North bid 2 spades, and that ended the auction. Well, somebody's got a nice hand because this opening bidder only has 13 points. Notice he didn't bid on to 3 hearts. When partner doesn't bid, it's not usually very fruitful. So on the opening lead, East wins the king, then he cashes the ace. Partner follows with a 6, but he led the 10. Partner led the 10 on the go. Now all of a sudden it's becoming clear partner must have started with 2 hearts. If he'd had 4 of them, which is what a high-low signal and counting shows an even number, but if he'd had 4 hearts, surely he'd have raised. Surely he'd have raised. But he didn't. So I suspicion that partner has a doubleton heart, and I'm going to give him a ruff. The opponents are in 2 spades here, so we need to take some tricks. The dummy has 10 points in it here. That's a pretty good dummy. So we're going to have to take tricks to defeat this. When you lead a heart back, you have a choice of whether to lead the 9, the 7, or the 5. What suit would you like for your partner to lead back so you can give him another ruff? You want him to lead a club?
Diamond.
You want him to lead a diamond back, don't you? How can you tell him to lead a diamond instead of a club? He's not going to be able to tell from looking at the dummy. He might get it right if you make him guess. He's got a 50-50 shot. If you lead the 9 of hearts, that says, partner, return the higher ranking of the other 2 suits. If you had instead the ace of clubs, you would return the 5, saying, partner, please lead the lower ranking of the other 2 suits. If you take the ace and king of hearts, the ace of diamonds, and you give your partner 2 ruffs, hey. When you lead the 4th heart, it creates a trump promotion. Because when your partner ruffs, if he can ruff with anything higher than the 5, then the dummy will have to ruff with the king. Now, all of a sudden, this doubleton queen here is a trick. This is a trick. We have gotten 2 ruffs and a trump promotion out of this just from the use of the suit preference signal here by leading the 9 back after winning the king and then the ace. You can see the queen on the dummy. If partner has 2 of them, you have 5 and the dummy has 3, then declarer has 3 of them, right? It's a 5-3-3-2 layout around the table. We know partner has a doubleton because declarer didn't ruff the 2nd heart. he has to have a doubleton instead of 4. So when East leads the 9 of hearts back, he's telling his partner, I can give you another ruff if you will lead a diamond back. He leads a diamond. Now the lead of the 4th heart, declarer can ruff. If your partner has as little as the jack of spades over there, he can force declarer to ruff with the king, and now your queen of spades becomes the setting trick. Not bad, huh? But if you have your partner guess on whether to lead a club or a diamond, he may get it right or he may not. So help him out and hope he's paying attention. If he's not paying attention, it's not the fate worse than death. Stuff happens. You know, all of us go to sleep from time to time at the table. And believe you me, when you're first learning how to use these signals, you're going to miss some of these things because they can be a little bit obscure. But once you learn about this and you start paying attention, defense becomes so much fun. I mean, defense is magic, folks, just magic. I love it. All right, here's the complete hand. Notice, if East doesn't return that 4th heart, remember, partner ruffed with the 4 of spades when you led the 9. Declarer had to follow. He played the jack and the queen fell out of the dummy. He dutifully led the jack of diamonds back, top of touching honors here. Dutifully led the jack of diamonds back, won the ace, and now partner's looking at maybe promoting his queen when it seems like there are no other tricks. There are no other tricks available. Try for a trump promotion. I mean, after all, West has burned all of his high cards, hasn't he? He's given his partner a ruff. He's not likely to get a trick with that doubleton queen. But if he can make the declarer ruff, let's say, you know, declarer's not going to ruff with the ace when he leads that 4th one. He may discard some card from his hand thinking that he'll ruff on the dummy. If he does ruff this little spade, then West will play the jack and North will play the king. So when he leads that 4th heart, in effect, he has promoted his queen to the setting trick. This is the common defensive ploy. When you can't see any other possible tricks, try for a trump promotion. If it doesn't work, you haven't lost anything. But sometimes it does work. And this is the only way that East-West have of defeating this contract. This looks like a lead pipe cinch, doesn't it? This is a 14-point hand here. This is a, what, 5? This is a 10-point hand. They ought to be okay in 2 spades, right? They've got an 8-card fit. They break well. But the defense is awake and alert. Now, without that suit preference signal, West might have chosen to lead the top of his club sequence. That is, after all, one of the leads that we prefer to use, isn't it? So lead that 9 back when you're giving your partner a ruff to let him know that your entry is in diamonds. Now, there are 2 exceptions. You knew there had to be some exceptions, I hope. I mean, by now, you've got to know that there are exceptions to almost everything, and this is no exception. The first exception occurs when you want to force the dummy to ruff. When do you want to force the dummy to ruff? When he only has high cards. Make him use a high trump. Look at this monster hand here in the dummy. In this case, East wants West to continue spades, even though there's a singleton there. Look at his trump holding. They're in 6 hearts here. Partner leads the spade ace. And this is the dummy. This is a monster dummy. Notice he has the 3 top trumps, and you're sitting there with the jack. Since his jack is twice guarded, that card will be promoted to the setting trick if your partner just continues spades and forces the dummy to ruff. That means that East should play the 6. If he plays the 9, he's asking partner for a diamond shift. Well, that doesn't look logical, does it? When there's a singleton on the dummy, remember, ordinary attitude signals don't apply. The signals become suit preference. The play of the 3 of spades would say, please shift to a club. Well, that's not what we want, is it? The play of the 9 would say, please shift to a diamond. We don't want that either. Chances that I'm going to get a trick with one of those diamonds is not very great. So what we want partner to do is continue with a spade so that the dummy will have to ruff with one of those high trumps if he wants the trick. If he doesn't ruff, he's down immediately because you've got the king. So that's the first exception. The second exception occurs when the opening leader's partner cannot stand a shift to anything else, but he can stand the continuation of the suit that was led. Now, here the North-South have bid to the spade game and your partner leads the heart ace. Dummy has a singleton. What are you going to do? This doesn't look very good for the home team here. These 2 queens are in highly finessable positions. Note that if declarer has the aces in those minor suits, he has a choice of which way he can take these finesses. And he may guess wrong. But if your partner shifts to one of those minor suits and declarer's holding the aces, he's not going to go up with the king. He's going to let it ride around with this holding, and you don't want that to happen. In order to avoid that, he plays the 6. This is middling. It says, I don't want you to shift to anything else, partner. Please just continue hearts. If declarer ruffs, well, I'll play a small card. That's okay. I'm not counting on getting this king of hearts now at all unless I can get it after the trumps are gone in the dummy. But if you lead a minor suit, you're going to finesse me out of a trick. Now, if he wanted to shift to a diamond, he would play the 9. If he wanted to shift to a club, once again, he would play the 2. When he plays a middling card, he says, don't have a preference. Now, are you always going to have this nice middling card? Maybe that 6 is maybe you have king 9 6 and you don't have the right card. You have to try to play the 6 and hope that partner interprets it the way you want him to. You don't always have the right card. And when that happens, you have to do the best you can. That's it, folks. Thanks for coming.
Hi, this is Susan. Thanks for stopping by the Oklahoma Collective's YouTube channel. Basically, this channel shows recordings of our free 1-hour bridge lessons for advancing players that we offer every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. If you would like to join us, send your contact information to the email address shown on the screen, and we'll be happy to send you the link. If you would like to follow our channel and be notified when a new recording is uploaded, just
push the subscribe button below.
Thanks for stopping by. Bye.